Wipe that smile off your face, Brian Nolen. Lights out and away we go once again because it is Tuesday and this is Front Stretch. Welcome back to the Pit Straight. Alex Gintz, Tom Blackburn, and unfortunately Brian Nolen here to discuss what happened in Portland this weekend with the NTT IndyCar Series. Gentlemen, before we get into these lovely, definitely not controversial, totally interesting and 100% serious topics that we've prepared, how are you?
Fantastic. I couldn't be better. It is a glorious day to be alive, Alex.
I'm doing good. I'm doing real good because you guys have walked like 17 miles between the both of you, and I probably only walked 1 mile over the last 2 or 3 days, so I'm ready.
Well, you look good. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, Alex Palou has wrapped up the championship. Pato Award had a mechanical issue early in Sunday's race that took him out of contention. His long shot at the title didn't even really get to go to completion. And now we have to face this question. Alex Palou has wrapped up the championship before the final race twice in a row now. 3 times in a row? No, he didn't do it last year. I'm sorry. 2 times in the last 3 years.
2023. He clinched it. Ironically. Yep, there you go.
Yep.
See? Yeah, good job, buddy.
Let's be clickbaity for a second and get the question out of the way. Is it time for IndyCar to institute playoffs so that my generation and our destroyed attention spans can pay attention for the entire season?
I'm going to say right off the bat, no. One, just look at the whole, once you get into playoffs, now you got to talk about format. And just look at the whole mess that NASCAR is in right now about their format. IndyCar does not need that. And the second thing is, too, about no. Palou has just been kicking everybody's butt. Like, respect this. This is a historic achievement that this guy has been doing. Don't punish him for everybody else not able to raise their game and match his. Like, his team and everything is kicking butt. Last year, it was really close. You know, couple races going into the finals, 2 races or whatever before Palou clinches it. The races can be pretty close. The dudes just have to perform. That's not any fault of Palou. The dude is exceptional. And so I say no.
I mean, Alex, look at this. I'm gonna look at some stats here.
Oh, I hate when he does this.
8 wins, 11 podiums, 12 top 5s, 13 top 10s, 5 poles. He leads in NTT IndyCar Series in races led, laps led, average start, and average finish. I mean, we could have a playoff in which he gets wrecked on the final lap and he doesn't win the title. Do we really want that? No. But this guy has led every single statistic you want. He's the 4th champion. He's the first 3-peat champion since Dario. He won his 4th championship, I should say. This guy was the best driver the entire season. That's what we should crown a champion on, not these Mickey Mouse trophies where, if you're finished first in 4 drivers at the end last year, at the last race of the season, you win the championship. No, we should reward the best driver, the champion, at the end of the season, regardless.
But Tom Blackburn, Brian, Timothy Dale, Stock Car Scoop, Happy Hour, Pacific Northwest, Boise, Idaho, Nolen. Why should fans pay attention?
Sure, that works too. Okay, that's a new one.
Why should
he
fans
needs to
pay
put that
attention
at the bottom right
races?
now? Put that whole name at the bottom of your name. That's not what all the way across.
How do I change it? Hold on. How do I change this here?
Oh man, this podcast is in the bucket.
It's going to turn into a scrolling thing, like the old ESPN scrolling ticker at the top.
We could do that right now, actually.
Edit name and headline: Brian Timothy Dale. Stock car
This is so terrible.
Pacific Northwest.
I hate
Nolen.
this. I hate this so much.
No, Boise, Idaho. You forgot
Boise, Idaho. No. Oh my gosh.
There you go.
I hate it.
Please limit it to 50 characters. Sad. Anyway.
So my question. My question.
Well done.
So, Brian, Timothy Dale, Stock Car Scoop, Pacific Nolen. God, I hate this. Why should fans pay attention for these last 2 races then? Why why tune in to Milwaukee and Nashville when the championship's over?
You made a valid point. It is hard for you guys to answer that question, but I mean, there's a plethora. And I asked Pato Award this. He was like, "What is your mindset in the final two races?" And he's like, "I want to win. I want to win the pole. I want to win the race, and I want to get second in the points." And I think that's everybody that is what they want. There's a plethora. You got a great rookie of the year battle with Louis Foster, Robert Schwartzman. The race to the 22nd in points, in which they get the money. You have the potential streaks coming to an end. Joseph Newgarden, can he get his first win of the season? Last time potentially for Will Power in a Penske car. Final two races. Can Scott McLaughlin get a trophy? Colton Herta, will he retain back-to-back in Nashville? I mean, there's a plethora of races. And to top it all off, can Alex Palou clinch 10 wins in one season? He's got to win both the races in Nashville and Milwaukee. But as we've seen Blackburn, he has won at a short oval, that being in Iowa. So it is possible.
Yeah, and it's two ovals. That's really what it comes down to. If fans want to tune in and see some of the best racing product that IndyCar is going to put on, it's these last two races. Milwaukee, the doubleheader last year, was some of the best racing. I've talked about the great fan environment. So hopefully people are still buying tickets to go out to that race, because it's a good, entertaining race. There's a lot of complaints about some of the racing on the road and street courses, but the short oval package right now is just the best across, maybe Xfinity Series has best overall racing right now, but this short oval package is definitely up there. So Nashville was a good race last year. In Brian Timothy Dale, Stock Car Scoop, Pacific Nolan just nailed all the other storylines to look for, especially with
Sorry.
I am curious, because if the teams that, if he ends up winning, Palou ends up winning the last two races, how pissed off is everybody going to be in the paddocks? Like, not only did he already win the championship, but he goes to the last two races and kicks everybody's butts and just says, you know what? I'm still going to rock and roll.
Yeah.
We could do an entire episode on just, is that even good for the series? Because for people like us who take this sport seriously and respect the people who do it and value it as a sport, I'm sure that everybody in this podcast has a favorite driver, but not everybody in this podcast tunes in to watch their favorite driver specifically, right? How do you, again, all of these points are things that people who care about IndyCar are going to want to know. How do you sell this to people who don't?
Usually when you have greats are like some of the biggest selling points in whatever sport you have, from Michael Jordan to Wayne Gretzky to Tom Brady to Peyton Manning, Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty. Like, all these greats are what you end up marketing. Problem is IndyCar does not have top-notch marketing skills, right? But in theory, that's why you should be tuning in. It would be cool that he'd end up winning two races and be up there on the same levels as Mario Andretti, Al Unser, and AJ Foyt.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to watch history, tune in. If you want to watch compelled racing, like Blackburn said, tune in. If you want to watch people not beating and banging like we see in NASCAR, but if you want to see people battle side by side at two fantastic and different type and unique racetracks, tune in. It's going to be a battle, and it could be a war, and it could be some great racing.
So let me make the disclaimer that everything I said up to this point in the episode was me playing the devil's advocate, and I don't want a playoff system in IndyCar.
All right, there we go.
Just so we're clear there, right? But let's talk about
leader.
There was some beating and banging in IndyCar this week, and we've got to talk about what happened between Connor Daly and Christian Rasmussen, because it's one thing to see a driver, walk away from a potentially disastrous impact like Connor Daly did. It's a separate thing when that impact was triggered by intentional contact from another driver, or let's say intentionally reckless driving from another driver. It's a completely separate thing when that other driver involved says, I wouldn't change anything. Bryan Nolen, you talked to both Connor Daly and Christian Rasmussen after their run-in on on track at Portland, and you got some pretty spicy words from both of them. What is your impression of how this unfolded from both of their perspectives?
Well, let's first dive on into the incident itself. It looked like the 21 was battling the 67 to Connor Daly, and it looked like he pushed him off to the track, and then he was trying to get back on, and then he just dumped him. And Daly exited the care center and said it was just absolutely uncalled for. It was inexcusable, and he says he likes Christian, but that was a dirty move. And he said he would talk to him. He likes him, but it's not up to me to mark his punishment. And it was revealed that there's going to be no punishment, or there wasn't, from the stewards at that time. Talking to Rasmussen after the race, he was like, I wouldn't change anything differently. He's like, I was struggling in 6 and everything, and then it was just a struggle of a day, but I wouldn't change anything. I hate it for Christian or Connor. I'm glad that he's all right, but I wouldn't do anything differently. So he's sorry, but maybe actions speak louder than words. Blackburn.
I don't understand how they did not call a penalty on this. This is open wheel racing, and you don't have a lot of opportunities where guys will purposely or allegedly, but it looked like it, dump somebody. I mean, that seemed to be the opinion. That doesn't happen in open wheel racing very much, because it's very difficult to do without taking yourself out because of the way the cars are designed. The fact that he blatantly did it and not to get penalized is very, very confusing, because it wasn't a self penalty. He didn't end up taking himself out. So why did they allow that to go? I didn't understand that. I still don't understand it. And of course, IndyCar didn't release a statement or provide anybody to the media. I'm guessing they didn't provide anybody there on site to talk about it or anything. I'm sure there were a lot of questions about it. So it doesn't make any sense, and it's not a good precedent. There's already complaints about the type of racing out there, which I don't think it's like the driving standards are any different than what they have been. I mean, it's not like you're going to push the limits. You're going to end up knocking yourself out of the race. But this one was just so confusing, and I didn't get it, guys. I really didn't understand why there wasn't a penalty to it. It wasn't called for at all.
Connor Daly is already a bit of a let's call him a firebrand within IndyCar already, and he's already very outspoken, and there's never any uncertainty about what Connor Daly is feeling or thinking. Christian Rasmussen does not seem to be making friends this season, and he is not the first driver I would think of when I would think of somebody who would be, controversial or who would drive in a way that like. Blackburn, are we looking at Carson Hocevar of IndyCar being born right now? What happens here? Where does this go?
It could end up being something like that. Does he end up becoming this thorn in the side? But let's not forget, Santino Ferrucci had that reputation a few years back when he first came in there. And if you go back even further, if you remember Sage Karam, he had a similar, and I believe he got into it with Ed Carpenter at Iowa back in when he was racing his rookie year. So it's not uncommon to have these guys that come in here and just, I think the drivers are just universally frustrated because in IndyCar, they make penalty calls on track for drivers' actions, and it's subjective. No two penalties or two actions ever seem to be deemed the same. Mm-hmm. Later on, Scott Dixon got penalized for basically hitting the back of and spinning out Joseph Newgarden. Think back to Long Beach last year when Colton Herta hit Newgarden in the back of his car, and he hit the attenuator, and it basically anti-stalled his car. He didn't get a penalty. So he didn't get spun out that time, but he still got, what you could deem as, contact that shouldn't have happened. So that's where drivers get a little antsy because they call penalties on track. It's not drivers police yourselves. And so you're going to have this when you can't call everything. it's just not going to be conducive to being able to, control the whole race.
So let me scan the room. Do we all agree that the penalty on Scott Dixon for the contact with Newgarden was not, didn't have any merit?
I just don't get why he gets penalized, but yet Rasmussen doesn't. Like, if you're going to penalize one, penalize both. If you're not going to penalize one, don't penalize either. Like, I don't get it.
And Dixon should have been penalized. He clearly hit. That was a contact. He shouldn't have hit. That was avoidable contact. He ended up hitting him. But the same thing was with Rasmussen. Mm-hmm. He should have given. In fact, it gone all the way back to when he ran him off track. He should have gave him that room. But that was avoidable contact. But they didn't call the penalty there. And then Connor got upset. And then he ended up wrecking him. And that wreck could have been bad. So, yeah, they should have called that penalty. So that way, this doesn't look like they called the least destructive penalty versus what they missed on Connor.
Not to digress too much, but I'm in the camp that Dixon shouldn't have been penalized and Rasmussen should have.
Interesting. What was your view on that?
Because these guys aren't driving road cars on the highway is the way I look at it. Like, we understand that on a public road, if you rear end somebody, regardless of how quickly in front of you they decelerated, you are at fault. There is no... Imagine a world where we penalize Scott Dixon for avoidable contact, and let's say that the rationale is essentially, well, what was he doing driving that close to Joseph Newgarden when Joseph Newgarden spins the rear wheels or misses a gear or something? I mean, to me, it just seems ridiculous. Is Scott Dixon not supposed to race to 100% of his ability and get as close as possible to the car that he's looking to pass as they come out of 2, go through 3, and head toward a light braking zone at 4? I just don't, the same thing, the same reason I didn't want Herta penalized or at Long Beach. It's like, are these guys not racing?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Brian, Timothy Dale, Stock Car Scooting, Pacific Nolan. I don't know if you haven't understood that, but I think that's actually a fair point. I don't think it changes my opinion, but I think that you're right about that. The IndyCar argues that this is the closest racing, and don't you want them to be that close? I mean, there's a valid view of that.
I just wish that we would hear IndyCar's reasoning behind Rasmussen not getting penalized, because, like, sure, I get the Dixon penalty. He ran in the back of him, cost him. Listen, I get that. I totally do. But, like, I just don't get why you penalize that one, but you don't penalize the other one. Like, what makes it, like, do we need to have some outside control? Does race control just need a whole new system? Do they need to just switch it up and have someone from the outside come in? There's a lot of questions that need to be answered in the offseason.
This is where a pool, just like in the NBA, there's a pool reporter who goes and talks to the official, and the officials, it may not be expansive, but they give their reasoning exactly why situations were called the way they were.
Right.
The same thing needs to be implemented in IndyCar if they're not going to make them available. This has happened too many times with guys like us discussing after the race. But it's good because I want IndyCar to call penalties on the track, just like FIA does. I'm not a fan of how NASCAR does it, because you have situations where you have guys that are wrecking each other nonstop, and it ends up the plate races, for example, or what used to be plate races. I want penalties called for bad driving, but if they have to make that available, it's only fair to be able to be more transparent. And let's not forget, Dixon spun a Penske car. That's still the shroud of race control of a series that Penske owns.
Yep. So I've decided, actually, we're 20 minutes in, give or take. I'm going to filibuster this episode until you both agree that penalty was ridiculous.
Oh, God. We're going to be here all night then.
I mean, I'll be standing here. I'll go for 4 hours. It'll be like, so if Scott Dixon is behind Joseph Newgarden and the right rear wheel falls off of Joseph Newgarden's car and he cuts across Scott Dixon's nose, is the court correct to assume that you consider that to be avoidable contact, Tom Blackburn?
You're going to have to start reading War and Peace before I agree with you, because I don't think I'm going to end up doing that.
I'm just going to be like, I just want to go to sleep or play Fortnite and make fun of Blackburn.
I want to know what makes it. I really want to know what makes it avoidable in your opinion, though.
So I think that he could have easily. I mean, come on. He's Scott Dixon. He knows he's about to come up onto probably one of the worst chicanes that IndyCar has. All right. He comes up on him and hey, it's just like same thing on the road. If you end up rear-ending someone, you're at fault, right?
Yeah.
He should have came off of that hairpin. I keep saying hairpin, chicane. And whether or not his wheels spun or not, he still made contact and it spun him around. You just can't do that. Like if you don't penalize that, rather, then you open the door for those guys to do it all the time. Okay. And then you have guys being dumped all the time in these type of situations. Look at the start of the race. If they don't get penalized for what Dixon did, then these guys are going to be doing that nonstop and they're just going to ram into each other. I just think you got to have some threat of control, some threat of penalty to keep that mayhem from happening, especially if the driving standards are lower. You have to be able to at least keep some of them in line.
All right, we're actually going to do this now because now I'm on one. I've never been off one in the past couple.
Oh God!
So two things though. Do you think that there's any need to incentivize caution when it's Scott Dixon? Like, do you think Scott Dixon intentionally drove into Joseph Newgarden?
No, I don't think he intentionally drove into him. No, not at all.
And
we gotta have some other discussions if he did.
yeah.
Well, and like you said,
he's one of the cleanest drivers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these guys also kind of understand that they can't run into each other, you know, carte blanche in any way they feel like without damaging their cars and compromising their own race. So I gotta tell you, Blackburn, I'm not too fond of you right now.
You and my wife would be able to get along really well. That's perfect. You guys can have all kinds of conversations. I will say that it is very, very. Just the contact, the idea of contact. Mm-hmm. I'm not a racing driver. Okay. I don't know how difficult it is to be able to judge the closing distance. I don't know how hard that is. So I will offer the, counter to my opinion is that I don't know how challenging it is not to do what Dixon did. So, and I respect him as one of the greatest drivers ever in IndyCar history. So him hitting, that could have been just one of those like, crap, that's an accident. But the history of all of this across the season and stuff, they penalize majority of the time when you hit somebody and you spin them around and you ruin their day, you get a penalty. So whether it's just some of these tight courses, they end up doing it.
Yeah, he said it best.
You hear that? I said it best. That's 2 against 1.
There's no democracy here.
2-1.
So
go ahead and filibuster. Sorry, just keep talking.
Yeah, now that you think the room's on your side.
Yeah, filibuster, Alex. Come on.
Yeah,
out of respect for everybody's time.
Yes.
Christian Lundgaard.
Oh.
Brian, you knew I was going to bring this up.
If you read the notes, Brian,
if you had read the notes,
I was trying to what is it? Like provide like some surprise, I was trying to provide some intrigue, some surprise to this.
You're exhausting. Christian Lundgaard.
Oh.
Christian Lundgaard has had a great season, but I would wager not the season that a lot of people thought he might have had. I personally expected a win for the number 7 car at this point. He's put together a couple of runner-up finishes. I mean, career year, 3 in total? Yeah, okay. I would say a career year, even factoring in his win at Toronto in 2023. Does he emerge as a title challenger next year?
I'll go first.
Brian. Yeah, go first.
Mean, thank you, Thomas. I mean, what I've seen from him in the past few weeks has been awesome. 3rd podium in 6 races. and the 7th one of the season. He's finished second at Barber, second at Laguna Seca a couple weeks ago, and then second in Portland on Sunday. And he would have started on the pole if he didn't have that six grid engine penalty that they swapped out motors on Saturday morning. So I mean, it feels like it is sooner rather than later. And I mean, sure, he hasn't been crazy he hasn't been crazy at the ovals, but I mean, you never know. Crazier things have happened. Aaron McLaren's been balling on all cylinders. Obviously not the correct cylinder for Pato Award. See what I did there, Blackburn? I know, it's pretty cool. But I do feel like it is sooner rather than later, even though Alex Gintz is going to kill me.
Yeah. You're going to get an envelope with white powder in it to your house. And
FBI man, Mr. FBI man.
I think about it daily.
I will add to Brian Timothy Dale Stock Car Scoop Pacific Nolan's point that no, I don't think that he is going to be championship caliber yet, because of just the minor point that you made is he is not exceptional on ovals yet. Yeah, I don't think with Alex Palou, with the way he is driving, and now that he has, I mean, Alex was great on ovals without wins. He was still getting top fives. He was still being consistent. Christian is still having challenges. I don't think he's led any laps on an oval yet. Fact check me on that one, but he hasn't done well. His forte is the permanent road courses. Portland, Laguna, Mid-Ohio, a third. He's done well at Indianapolis before. He only got a 7th this year, but he had qualified up front. I'm sorry, he actually got 16th this year. Second at Barber, and then Thermal, he had a 3rd. And Road America, he more than likely would have been up at the top. I think he had some sort of issue that day. So he's good there. And I wrote about this in the title talk and the previews, is that for him to do well in the points this year and maintain his 4th, he had to do what he did, which was get those 2 second-place finishes, which was totally possible. He's going to have challenges over the next 2 races because he's just not been great on ovals. He's good. He's not great. He has to do that. And with Alex Palou being great now, I just think it's going to be a challenge for him to be able to move up. But if he does, yes. But he has to do that first.
Brian Nolen, what does your stack of papers say?
My stack of papers doesn't have anything else on this topic, but I mean, I do have other pleasantries I could share that I learned from Portland.
About Christian Lundgaard?
Oh no! About I literally talked this. I was the first one to talk about.
Wait! Hold on. What does Alex think? Alex, Gintz, what do you think? What do you think about
Alex? How do you feel about Christian Lundgaard?
Lundgaard going to do? Is he going to be championship cap? Are you going to like 2-1
better than Pato?
Filibuster? Come on, let's go.
He won't be better than Pato. No, I don't think he's a championship contender next year, but I think he is one within the next 3 years, assuming that he stays at McLaren.
I think you're right. I think that is a good way to look at it over 3 years. Next year, no. I think we can all agree, though, that this is the teammate that Pato has not had since he's been at McLaren that is challenging for podiums and now makes Aero McLaren not just a Pato team that's going to be the one that's going to be competing every weekend, but it's going to be a 2-car, threat for wins for the championship in the future. And this is exactly what they've been looking for years. And it looks like they finally have solved that problem.
All the conventional wisdom says that this team should be a 3-car threat.
That's right.
I mean, like, we've talked about that before, but since this episode's gone to hell anyway, we might as well stay on the topic. When does Tony Kanaan's faith in Nolan Siegel run out?
I mean, the guy's 21st in points, and remember, the top 22 get that illustrious money. So you have
the top 22 charter teams.
Yes.
Prima Racing, which is 22nd right now, does not get it. So it's actually Louis
so there's a little bit of a cushion. There's a little bit of a cushion. Okay. But still, with that being said, I mean, this is not where he expects them to be. I mean, Pato is second. Lundgaard is in the top 5, I want to assume. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there's no reason for Nolan Siegel to be 21st or in the high 20s. Absolutely unacceptable, whether he's first or second year or the 17th year. He shouldn't be running where he is in a car like this.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating. I don't see how they can continue to be committed to somebody who he has earned 3 top 10s, and they're all in the second half of the top 10. Like it's 7th, 8th, and 9th. Right. That's just not going to do it. And I think the only reason we bring it up is because they have cut guys for much less, right? David Malukas didn't even get a shot, and look at what happened to him since he left. I think Oliver Askew had more top 10s than this by the time he got cut at the end of the year. He only had one, but he almost won Iowa. That was one. I remember that race. He almost won Iowa. He led from the pole and it's just, they let Alexander Rossi go. Felix. Yeah. This. So I guess this is one of those cases where this is subjective, but it's good to know the guy that calls the shots and to be in his, to have his support, because as long as Tony Kanaan has faith in him, this works.
For shizzle.
Thank you, Brian Timothy Dale Stockhurst. Nolan.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Could have been Alex Palou in one of those cars.
Yeah, imagine that. Isn't that crazy to think of? And he could have, if he didn't have that, he could be a 5-time, like straight up 5-time if he didn't have all that complexity and legal
22.
stuff. Yeah. It's just for a second to talk about this. Palou is on the verge of going for a 4th title in a row in the most competitive IndyCar environment. Now, I know that Bourdais did it, but I don't know if you watched Champ Car World Series back then.
We all know Alex has.
Those guys were garbage most of the time. Like, it just wasn't the type of talent and competitiveness across the board wasn't there. This is a completely different environment, and the fact that he has done this is amazing.
Well, there's a point to be made, though, and David Land has made it a couple times, and it pains me to say that he's right about this. It doesn't pain me to say... No, it doesn't pain me to say that David Land is right. It pains me to say that this is correct.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We all like to say that this is the most competitive series with the best racing product and whatnot. 3 teams win each year. Typically.
That's true. Yes, 3 teams. Yeah, you're right.
This is Team Penske and Chip Ganassi car for the past couple of years, with a few Arrow McLaren wins sprinkled in there. Who was the last Who was the last
Rahal Letterman, probably, with
Toronto.
Lundgaard at Toronto.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I can't think of another. And has it Andretti?
Mm-hmm.
We're so stupid. We're so stupid.
Well, usually it's 4.
3 wins this year.
Yeah,
We're so stupid.
4,
you can say that again.
Yes. But if you look at the championship has only been won by 2 teams in freaking forever. I think, who was the last... maybe Ryan Hunter-Reay in 14. Was he the last Andretti to win the or 12? I'm sorry. I think it's been Penske and Ganassi ever since, right?
Alex?
He's thinking. Can't you tell? He didn't freeze. His internet.
Man, yeah.
I think it was, right? So if that's the case, the championship has always been fought between those 2. So it's not like across the whole spectrum, these guys are any different, But then now it's just one team that's winning all the titles. So it doesn't matter. One driver.
And his name is Alex Palou, Alex.
Yes, Alex Palou. You guys, are you named after Alex Palou, Alex?
Oh, no, Palou.
Are you named after him?
Totally. Yeah, totally. Blackburn.
Shout out Mama Gintz.
It gets worse. My mother's last name isn't Gintz, Brian Nolen. It gets worse because if it was Ryan Hunter-Reay in 2012, but then if you have to go back to 2007 with Dario to find another Andretti winner, and then it
would be 05 with Weldon, and then 04 with I think TK 104, and then 03 was back to Dixon. So
you've got to
that was in the Now that was
2002.
the Honda too. That's like, and they won because they had the best engine, the Delora chassis, which was the last time that they were non-spec. So outside, I remember from 08 to 2010, like all the race wins were Penske and Ganassi. So this level of dominance has been there a long time.
If you remove kart from the equation, which I do just because it pains me to say, nothing of kart remains, really. Aside from a few tracks. You have to go all the way back to 2002 to find a championship that wasn't Ganassi, Penske, or Andretti.
Jeez.
02. Oh, man, I'm trying to think of who won that title.
It's really incredible to me that you don't know it.
Is that... Oh, that's Panther Racing, right? With Sam
yes,
Horner?
There you go.
Yes, yeah. He won back-to-back, 01, 02. That one was exceptional because Penske that was their first full-time year in IRL at that time, and he still beat them.
So, again, back to my first question. How do you sell this to me? No. So we've determined there shouldn't be playoffs. We've determined...
We did? I don't remember this.
Wait. He's gone. He said there should be playoffs. Is that what you said, Alex? Okay.
Shouldn't. But I'm from Ohio, so I don't pronounce T's.
Okay.
Listen to these guys.
Oh, is that her? Let's pop her on I want her on the podcast. Let's get her on the podcast.
She's going to be World Wide Web.
We can't do that right now. We've determined there shouldn't be playoffs. We've determined that there should have been a penalty for Christian Rasmussen. We've determined that Christian Lundgaard won't be a title contender in 2026. Tom Blackburn, what can we determine about this upcoming race in Milwaukee?
It's going to be probably a continuation of Team Penske. They've done really well, I think, on the short oval packages. They've had bad luck. Does Will Power's win shake the rust or whatever, the monkey, whatever, across that whole operation? Do they end up winning and maybe finishing strong over the next two races?
A lot of questions answered or could be answered. Joseph Newgarden, he's won 9 straight years with a win. Will that continue? He's got 2 races left. Gallagher sponsored David Malukas on Sunday. There's about 250 people there for David Malukas in Portland. The writing is on the wall. The new team president, Penske, in the IndyCar operation, would not say anything about Will Power's future. He said, we're focused on the win right now. Winning changes some things, but it is more likely than not Power will be out at Team Penske. And got to give an attaboy to Graham Rahal. Best finish of the season, a 4th. I asked him what fits his strong suit so well at Portland. He's like, this track always is good to me. He got his first win at Star Mazda, got his win at a couple other series in Portland, and then he led 10 laps on Sunday after starting in 22nd. From 22nd to 4th, pretty good day for RLL and Graham Rahal.
All right. Well, in that spirit, we will be back on the pit straight to break down everything that happens at Milwaukee. We've only got one race this year instead of a doubleheader. In the meantime, if you want to check out everything that everybody at Front Stretch is doing, you can find it on the web at frontstretch.com, on Facebook at Front Stretch, on Instagram at frontstretch.dot.com, on YouTube at Front Stretch Open Wheel, Front Stretch Grassroots, and Front Stretch Plus, on Twitter at Front Stretch and at FS Open Wheel. We've got plenty of podcasts coming on right on the web, on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen. If you want to find more of Tom Blackburn, he's on Twitter at Tom Blackburn42. Bryan Nolen is on Twitter at the Bryan Nolen, as if there's another one. And when the time comes, we will be back on the Pit Straight, hosted by Wyatt Watson, who is currently recovering from some kind of undisclosed epidemic bug, whatever. Get well soon, Wyatt.
I don't want to know what is in that man's body.
It's a graduation party is what it was. That's what it was.
Shout out David Homer says, good job, guys. Thank you, David. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate you.
Thanks for watching, David.
Thank you.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I will see you all back on the Pit Straight very soon. Gentlemen means Tom Blackburn, Bryan Nolen, you.
Brian Timothy Dale, Stock Car Scoop, Pacific Nolen. Take care.
Yeah, baby.
All right, guys, thanks for coming on, and thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you next time on the Pit Straight.